I don't care what religion you are, what nationality you are. You could be born with all kinds of defects. It doesn't matter. You could be the most beautiful person on the planet. It doesn't matter. We're all equal in the eyes of God. Well, I came home from school really sick one day. Took a drink of water, and I didn't get the whole thing down, and I passed out and fell down on the floor. And the whole room just went white. I remember laying there on the floor looking straight up, and all the color in my vision just faded to white, but it faded real slow. But I was conscious, and I just lay there and just, watched it happen. And then eventually the color came back, and I was like, well, I can't stay on this floor. I better get up. But I had to crawl on my hands and knees to get to the couch. Mom came home, and I told her about the whole incident, passing out and everything. She got more worried than ever. I guess I didn't look very good. Looked really, really white. And I don't know why, but she kind of hesitated. She kept me home, and I slept one more night in the house. And then the next morning, she took one look at me, and she's like, that's it. We're taking you to the doctor. So took me up to the doctor. He immediately knew that something serious was going on. And I remember a lot of fast talking, going back and forth between my mother and the doctor. And the doctor kept insisting I go immediately to the hospital. So they get me into the hospital. Nurses, really nice nurses, put me in a room. And I remember they started shaving my belly with shaving cream and a man's razor, which I thought was really weird because at 8 years old, I didn't have any hair on my chest. But they explained to me that there's a little bit of fuzz on your skin, so that has to go. And that's when I realized, or somebody then said something about, well, this is how we get ready for an operation. They're going to cut you open. Then it hit, something real serious is going to happen here. And I started to get scared. So they used ether on me. Yeah, ether's a nasty way to have to go under. So it made me really dizzy. I felt like my body was stationary and my head detached and started orbiting my body like a planet. I remember the spinning and just, And then I was out, I was in blackness. And I don't know how long I was in that blackness, but I suddenly realized that I could still think and that I was still me. I was no longer in my body. I didn't know where I was. It was like somebody had locked me in a dark closet. And it was quiet, it was comfortable, I felt no pain. But I got curious and I kept looking around like, what is this place? And why can't I hear anything? Why can't I see anything? And the more I struggled with all that, the more it all came back. And then eventually I did start hearing things. And then I did start seeing things. And one of the first things I saw was spirits rising up. Somehow I understood it was rising up off the earth. And it was people that were passing away on earth. And I saw like 4 or 5 different people at different times go up and then past me. They left their bodies. They looked like they were grandparents to me with gray hair, they looked old. They were very happy. They were smiling because they left their bodies. They probably weren't feeling very good when they died. And then they just kept going up and they were smiling and they're happy and zoom, and then off they went. But then eventually I started noticing that I wasn't alone. And I started seeing like sets of eyes way off in the distance. And it was like they were behind a barrier, and it was blacker than black, blacker than where I was. I took it like they were deeper into the darkness than I was. I suddenly realized that they could understand my thoughts. And then they started coming closer and closer. And then I got really scared. When they realized I was scared, they attacked. And then finally, somewhere from deep down inside me, I said, please, God, make them stop. Then they were furious. They told me to shut up. I wouldn't. I just kept calling out for help. And then I heard another voice. At first, it was way off in the distance. And it kept coming closer, and it was calling out to me. And somehow I just knew I could trust this other voice. It sounded like it was concerned and it cared. You know, I heard you calling. Where are you? I'll find you, but call out again, you know, that kind of stuff. And I kept calling out, I'm down here, I'm down here. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Well, when it finally got up to me, those bad children, those bad spirits that were attacking me, they took off. They were scared now. It changed everything. And what I realized later in life, when I've had some time to analyze all of that, what came to me was an angel. Eventually, I wound up floating over the earth, and I could see down below, I knew it was the earth, and I could see like lights in dark places, like streetlights, big cities, you know. Kept going up, and then I saw all kinds of stars and galaxies. And I knew they were galaxies because we studied some of that in school. So I was traveling, I felt like I was traveling a distance, and there were brilliant colors like emerald green and royal blue, ruby red, beautiful colors were flashing and going past me. And then at the end of the tunnel, I got spit out into open space again. It was very quiet, very dark. And then it came to a barrier like a puffy cloud, and then it stopped. And I sat there for a very short amount of time. Two arms reached down through the cloud, grabbed me by the shoulders, lifted me up, set me down, and then I'm standing in front of a man that I've never met before. As it turns out, he was part of my dad's family, and I didn't know. So he took me up to more people, and he told me that they were, I think he said they're my mom and dad, but I think actually they were his grandparents. One of my great-grandmothers came to me and said, someone is coming to greet you. This is someone that's very special. And she tried to prepare me. It was like, now be good, be nice, don't be scared, everything's fine, you know, that kind of thing, like a grandmother would do. And this, I could see it, an entity coming for me. It was in a distance, and it was a woman, and I could see her kind of traveling, but they didn't walk, they floated. She just kind of floated and kept coming closer. And then when she's right in front of me, she's a very nice lady. She told me that my family had a long history, and she wanted me to see it. So I agreed to go with her. And she had so much love in her. She treated me like a mother would treat a child. So I just call her mother, because she never told me who she was. Whenever I talk about her, I talk about her as Mother in Heaven. So she takes me away from my immediate family in heaven, and we go on this path and journey. And she transformed into, like, at one point she transformed into a light, but yet she's holding me like a mother would hold a baby. And she walked up to this place, and she just sort of waved her arm. And there's another tunnel, another opening. Only this one looks like a cave. And this one doesn't spin and rotate. It looked more like it was stone, you know. And I noticed in the tunnel there were people, but the tunnel went back in like layers or steps. And what it came down to was each level going back in that cave represented a generation of people in my family. And I could see from where we were standing, I could see at least 10, 15 generations or levels going back, probably further. But when I looked to the far back end of the cave, I saw, past all those generations, I saw one man standing alone next to a brilliant light. And he was just standing there, just absorbing the warmth coming out of that brilliant light in front of him. And he was enjoying it very much. And then Mother got my attention again, and she said, "So you see that light at the end of the tunnel?" And she said, "That light is coming to greet you. It wants to say hello to you." So then eventually I saw the light coming through the tunnel, closer and closer and closer. And then it was in front of me, and almost instantly it transformed into a man. And he looked to be late 20s, early 30s. I think I remember a beard. I think I remember dark hair, but it wasn't super long. So I asked Mother, "Well, who is this?" And she just simply said, "Well, on earth, you might have been told that his name is Jesus." So she said, "This is my son. This is Jesus." So I must have been standing there with Mother Mary. But he was super nice guy, great with kids. He knew how to talk to me on my level. He was good. I mean, he was an interesting guy. I liked him. His love and the light radiated through me. So when you're in the spirit form and you're in heaven, you have no need for food. You have no need for oxygen. You have a need for love because it feeds your soul. And the light that God, Jesus, radiates is like food. Mm-hmm. And it goes through you. It purifies you. It feeds you, and it builds you up. That's your food in heaven. Mm-hmm. And it is wonderful. Mm-hmm. And then eventually he took me to God. And I never saw him. He too was a bright light. I actually didn't dare look directly at him because his light was so intense. But I felt that love radiating from him. So we're talking, and God says, "So you've met Jesus. Do you know what he did for me?" And I didn't really understand why Jesus had to die on the cross. So I think God sort of explained it to me. And then God was like, because Jesus did that for me, and he sacrificed himself for me. He said, "You too can make sacrifices on earth, and you can earn great rewards in heaven when you make sacrifices and you do it for others. You take care of others. You care about others. Then when you earn rewards in heaven for being a loving person." I don't care what religion you are, what nationality you are. You could be born with all kinds of defects. It doesn't matter. You could be the most beautiful person on the planet. It doesn't matter. We're all equal in the eyes of God.